Luna, we who are about to die salute you.
Ave Luna, mariturite salutant. Hail, moon, we who are about to die salute you. Mere moon, I would not notice you. I'd only bay at you, mere light. But you are colored green and smell of lilacs. And you are colored amber, fat and bloated, and translucid and bloodshot. And you are more than mere moon. Not just a light, a signal, not just a sign, a symbol, not just a view, a vista, a disk at dusk, a discus, companion on my brief journey to nowhere. Like the trees, mists, grasses, fingernails.
Mere moon? I would not notice you. I'd only bay at you. Mere light.
But you are colored green and smell of lilac.
But you are colored
and
green.
You are colored amber.
And smell of lilacs.
Fat and bloated.
And bloated.
And translucid.
And translucid.
And bloodshot. And you are more than mere moon.
Not just a light, a signal.
Not just a sign, a symbol. Not just
Not
a
just
view.
a view,
A vista.
A discus.
Companion on my brief journey to nowhere.
Like the trees, the mists, grasses,
the fingernails. I nearly touched you as a child with my hands, fetish of mystery. A bright coin carelessly dropped. You rolled under the skirts of clouds. You sprinkled flour on grandfather's mill, the cemetery and the cows, a distant millstone in the sky. Full moon, my young year's semaphore. I celebrated you with the fire wheels of sound, simile, and metaphor. Ophelia's mad breast, floating naked on the dark waters of the sky. A clock face cut of marble, in hopeless love with untouchable time, dropping its useless hands. A transcendental angel's rump, sitting tranquil on heaven's latrine. Hercules' adolescent scrotum, as his mother applies the powder puff before his virgin rendezvous. Giant spider, you caught for me in your web Cornwall, the Ile-de-France, the hills of Transylvania and Tuscany, on seashores, meadows, balconies and rooftops, in parks and boats, upon the copper-plated battlements of Amar's Tower in the desert of Morocco, over the crowded camel humps of sand dunes. You played your game of chess against my lover's naked bodies. I only watched you play. And if you bent too close their open thighs, they butted you aside for I had taught them to play with you. Silver balloon of love. Aboard battleships at Saipan, Tarawa, you'd always aim a merciless searchlight straight in my eye. I'd run or stand in total darkness next to black trickles of springs shot dead and fountains still alive. My chest bedecked with your medals of mercury. And how you shone after the war over Fifth Avenue in Budapest. Round, well-fed silver carp, I watched you floating, sprinkling your row along the Milky Way, and I began to hope. Under your sign, the beer hall of the sky still welcomed guests of every constellation, each in his favorite place to regularly meet night after night. Though many chairs stood empty at my table. Seven times 7 bars, double barbed wire, and 2 more lines of barbed wire beyond the window of the punishment cell that wretch.
7 times.
Past the wire, only the blue fox fir trees, shadows of death. I stepped into the rigid tin foil of your cold rays and quietly thought a transmission belt, a Jacob's ladder, parallel rails running with me to the white terminal of eternity. But Stalin died. And left me all alone.
Not just a light, a signal. Not just a sign, a symbol.
I wouldn't
Not
mind
just
seeing
a
you
view,
still today,
a
the same
vista,
as 40 years ago.
A disc,
Climbing up slowly,
at dusk,
red-beard dwarf,
a disc
along some gnarled trunks of oaks.
like the tree.
Or make you once again a tangerine, balloon, ideal cheese,
crosses,
shaving mirror that absconded with a foamy face.
fingernail.
But I shall not complain. You did follow me faithfully to London, Vienna, Malta, and once more across the seas while staying fairly put at home. Only last November in New Jersey at Andy Hamza's house, full of music, books, and symposia, I stepped outside the glass doors and drew quick breaths of pleasure seeing you on the asphalt-hued branches of the sky. Silver apple in my winter garden. Frozen apple in my winter garden. By that time, I knew that they would reach you, or rather that they would reach your namesake, the satellite, the planet circling around us 384,000 kilometers away, the objective moon, which, as other bodies, contains its functions and occupies a space in space and equals only its own self. The moon that's only so much and no more. No legend, anxiety, toy, magic, or hypnosis. Godhead, memory, and all your other faces. The real moon that revolves in distant skies of which I'm no part, as I am of yours, who are in me and would not exist outside.
died.
So, they will reach the moon.
Hey, tell us about it, Bob. Hey, lay it on.
I thought they will reach the moon. And I was glad that they would reach it in my lifetime.
Well, I'm glad too.
So I could keep you still for comfort and sacrament under the black cupola of the night and for my old age. And even in the brutal crypt of space for my death candle.
Not just a light, a signal,
Not
just a sign, a
symbol,
not
not
just
just a view,
a vista, a distant dusk, like the trees, mists, grasses, fingernails.
Eureka! Shouted Archimedes in the bathtub, and a single jump took him into the streets of Syracuse to proclaim from the rooftops the news that the apparent loss in weight, etc. Land! Land! Yelled the lookout from the masthead at 2 a.m. Mary, Mother of God! He was right after all! The captain! This loud-mouthed, greasy-faced, slave-driving, fake Italian sham Christian kike! He will not have to walk the plank at dawn! We've reached treasured shores of India! And only 60 years ago, a crease in the clouds. Wilbur Wright entering Paris. Along the Bois, in gardens, parks, a biplane on every strip of grass. Dressed in straw hats and checkered pants, eternal adolescents would tinker at night. I can still smell their carbide lamps and the blood. Airframes made of rulers, walking sticks. Bedspreads lifted from hotels, or their aunts' old skirts, the wings. And how their engines did spit and sneeze. And what savage cries did rise to heaven when one of their grotesque grasshoppers cleared a bush or two. Then came the trees, later the hills, the Channel, the Alps, the sea, the ocean! Moon. Moon, I thought, before the picture tube. Waiting for the great act. No small-time stuff, Columbus, Blériot. Listening to a commentator who was demonstrating on a full-scale model how, when, and where would Armstrong and Aldrin emerge from the module, and how many yards would they walk after having cleared the ladder, take photographs, put lunar soil in sacks, exchange a few words with President Nixon, raise a flag after the lapse of a certain time. By what process would they re-enter the spacecraft? How many pounds of ballast would they leave behind? How many seismographs? And as the broadcast was not on schedule, he began to talk about early utopias of space, mixing Aristarchus up with Lucianos, Samos with Samosata, pronouncing Cyrano as Kerano, and finally telling us that we may celebrate, for in this historic moment, mankind has entered the lunar age. He repeated all this 3 more times when the desert-like moonscape appeared in a black sky with the eagle's contours like an old stove standing in a museum of science. Then the transparent phantom of Armstrong's abdomen, then Aldrin. As they tiptoed, then walked and photographed according to plan, faultless and precise, performing as predicted, as if in a bizarre exercise in gymnastics.
wearing barbarous masks, while the younger generation grew restless watching the screen, lit cigarettes, giggled.
These two have been shuffling their feet for half an hour, and still there's nothing.
Not a single shot has been fired.
A dragging production.
So it's been done. We've seen it. Is that it?
Man lands on moon. Is technology triumphant? Boredom supreme. But I stayed on with the older people in front of the set. Kept yawning and hoping that perhaps this once, after Hitler and Stalin and Rotterdam, Belgrade, Oradour, Coventry, Katyn, Auschwitz,
Warsaw.
Dresden, after Nikita Khrushchev, Lyndon Johnson,
Chicago.
Memphis.
after Budapest,
Saigon.
Dallas,
Saigon.
Nikita Khrushchev,
Hanoi.
Saigon,
Haifa. Dallas. Belfast.
There will be something to be happy about, something to celebrate.
and from our houses, where the bird claws of terror keep scratching at the window pane.
From our insane, endless main streets, our superb 8-lane expressway.
Where we can drive ourselves at 60 miles an hour into misery.
From our boldly designed concrete bridges that connect our garbage heaps.
From our lovely landscapes hidden behind billboards advertising them.
From our forests wearing plastic rags.
Our mountaintops wrapped in wax paper.
And from our oceans, whose billions of hollow white-capped teeth fail to chew up not only the shit from our oil tankers and factories,
But even our old-fashioned and useless rubber safes. From everywhere, we can look at the moon and lick our chops. We've screwed you too. We've made you, sweetheart, just in time, before our rotting bed collapses under us. Is there something for me to celebrate? The two daring astronauts and Collins, who is now circling above them, will be celebrated well when they return to Earth. And if they're wise enough to retire, even in 30 years' time, there will be plenty on which they can live. Golden letters will list their names in history books. And golden letters have a sheen of gold. Assuming, of course, that in 30 years, there will still be books and history. Hurrah for the crew, by all means. But is there a captain? Who is the Aristarchus here? The Columbus, the Wright, the Blériot. Hail, then, the creators of rockets, including the pioneers, the designer of V2.
Hosanna to all!
Who tied rocket wings to the ankles of thermonuclear bombs to make them fly. From country to country, from planet to planet.
From country to country, from planet to planet. Hosanna to all!
Who, in the concrete bunkers of reactors, breed from the very excrement of science purple toadstools of destruction. Who hand our chicken-brained leaders the push buttons of remote-controlled death for something to play with. And who, because the speed of our madness is still far, far behind the speedy wonders of technology, equipped our asses with Niagaras of solid fuel propulsion.
Hosanna to all!
Please. They celebrate along with us this evening. Or rather, permit us to celebrate them. Modestly, as becomes mechanics who do not work for glory, but for salaries and bonuses paid out of public funds, who discreetly leave off the word military before their titles, and whose lives are guarded by plainclothes police Better than my life, or my cleaning lady's life, should we happen to walk across Central Park at night. They celebrate along with us this evening, except they know this is no opening night, or even dress rehearsal. It is a bold leap into the void. The rest is an attraction for the clapping crowd. A circus act featuring the 3 astronauts as the clowns of outer space. The live coverage is over. The newscasters explain how Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins will go into isolation once they're back on Earth for 20 days, in case they picked up germs, while our scientists will analyze the lunar soil because they half expect to solve the secrets of the universe locked in these rocks. Then some new commentators praise the event by using the word peace as frequently as Cortez used to use the name of Jesus Christ. Do not believe them. Each sentence is a lie. The ad men of technocracy are cheating. They are lying. These chief engineers of death, they know full well that it is not on the moon that there are germs. It is inside their heads. That both culture and science have become a culture of germs. They piss on the universe's secret, unless there's a government to buy it. They piss on the rock samples of the moon. Whose chief of staff will spend money on rocks? They are looking for something else.
The bottom of a precipice or a crater on the lunar sea of tranquility, where they can put a missile base much more splendid than in any of Hitler's or Stalin's fondest dreams.
They will equip it fully in a few months and aim it at 1/2 of the Earth. Then, in a year or two, some jaundiced, lead-lipped and perspiring party leader, with the aid of a Lenin Prize or two, and a bullet also in the brain, will force a Soviet spacecraft into being, and a missile base on the Sea of Storms, aimed at the other half of the Earth, and at us in the moon.
And from the moon we'll aim at them on the moon, and from the Earth we'll aim at them on the moon.
As we have aimed at each other on Earth, mutually, for some time. And then we'll start all over, once again, the game of the atomic bomb. New nations land on the moon.
We'll aim at them on the moon, and from the Earth we'll aim at them on the moon.
Enough! The profile of von Braun comes on the screen at a press conference. He's carefully averting his eyes. Perhaps he's afraid his eyes give him away. But what is left of him to give away? He utters measured words, his jawline strong, a classic nose, pure pleasure on his lips. This man will never notice the dark cape of werewolves around his own shoulders. We have degenerated into instruments in their hands, helplessly. To swallow strychnine may be a consolation, but no defense against them. Nevertheless, no murderers have bored me half so abysmally as they do. These incarnations of the counter-human, the schizophrenic gorilla, the cosmic gorilla, the suicidal gorilla, who has come to execute the judgment of predestination, who is spilling on us nature's ripe wine of fury, who shakes our monstrous kind off the rim of the earth, whose patience has long been exhausted.
Listen to Caesar, for he is victory. But he does not mean whatever he tells us, and he won't tell us whatever he means. He did conquer the moon, but did he notice her color, her smell? Listen to him no more. Kick his loathsome television to pieces, his lunar lunacy. As the last act of a heritage of freedom, walk out into the garden. Taste the trees. Drink up the grass. Run your fingers through the moon's quicksilver hair.
Walk out into the garden.
Taste the trees.
Drink up the grass.
Run your fingers through the moon's quicksilver hair. Walk out into the garden. Taste the trees. Drink up the grass.
Run your fingers